Deep in the wetlands of southern Louisiana, where the mist hangs like whispers over lily-covered ponds and cypress trees stretch like silent guardians, something extraordinary happened. And it all began with a lone Canada goose. Locals called her Maggie. She wasn't like the others. While most geese traveled in tight formations, honking and flapping in unison, Maggie lived alone near a forgotten patch of marshland just outside the town of Vermilion Bayou. She had a bent wing that never fully healed, likely from an old injury, but she could still waddle, swim, and raise a ruckus when needed. No one really noticed Maggie. Not the birdwatchers. Not the nearby fishers. Not even the park rangers. Until she noticed something they didn't. It started in October. Bird numbers began dropping. Not from migration, but from disappearance. One ranger, a young woman named Camila Ruiz, had been tracking a flock of egrets for months. Suddenly, her GPS tags went offline. First 1, then 3, then 10. By November, nearly 24 tagged birds were missing. No feathers. No remains. Just silence. At first, Camila assumed it was natural predation. Then she saw the footprints. Human. Heavy boots. Off trail. She reported it to her supervisor, but the man shrugged. Probably just hunters passing through. Nothing illegal. Camila disagreed. She started her own nightly stakeouts. And Maggie the goose started showing up. It became routine. Camila parked her truck near the wetlands after sundown, binoculars ready, wrapped in a thermal blanket. And without fail, Maggie waddled up out of the reeds and sat by her tire. At first, Camila thought it was a coincidence. Then, one night, Maggie led her into the marsh. It was just after 2 a.m. when the goose stood, stretched her wings, and began honking in a strange, low tone. She waddled forward, pausing every few feet, looking back at Camila expectantly. Something about her behavior felt deliberate, unnatural for a wild bird. Camila grabbed her flashlight and followed. What she found froze her blood. Hidden deep between two gnarled cypress trees was a camouflaged cage, metal, rusted, baited with birdseed, and rigged with snare wire. Inside it, a wounded heron, terrified and unable to stand. And behind it, more cages, each more brutal than the last. Someone had been trapping birds. Rare ones. For sale. Camila called it in, but by the time the police arrived, the traps were gone. Whoever it was had been watching too. From that night on, the game escalated. More traps appeared, but so did Maggie. The goose returned every night, honking in frantic patterns, leading Camila to locations across the marsh. Sometimes there were fresh traps. Other times, there were injured birds, saved just in time. Camila began to map the locations, overlaying them with bird disappearance reports and boot print sightings. A clear pattern emerged. Someone was running a poaching ring in protected land, and Maggie seemed to know every corner of it. By January, they had a suspect. His name was Emmett Doyle, a retired game warden turned recluse, known to live in a decaying shack on the edge of the wetlands. Locals described him as odd, quiet, and fond of taxidermy. Camila paid him a visit. He was polite. Too polite. His clothes were pristine, his boots too clean. And when she mentioned the missing birds, his eyes twitched. Still, she had no proof. Nothing would stick. So she waited. And then came the night that changed everything. It was late February. Rain hammered the wetlands like war drums. Thunder cracked above the cypress canopy. Camila almost stayed home. But something, some feeling, made her go. Maggie was already there. Sopping wet. Limping. Honking like mad. Camila followed. What she found was a nightmare. In a clearing beneath a twisted willow, Emmett Doyle stood over a makeshift pen filled with birds, with ducks, spoonbills, even a rare roseate tern. He was mid-loading a crate into his boat when Camila burst through the reeds. "Step away," she yelled, her flashlight cutting through the downpour. Emmett turned slowly, drenched, wild-eyed. "You should have left it alone," he growled. "This is my marsh." But before he could move, a loud honk split the air. Maggie. The goose came barreling from the shadows, wings flapping, beak wide, and slammed into the side of the crate, knocking it over. The crate burst open. Birds scattered into the storm. Camila lunged. The two struggled, boots slipping in the mud, fists flying. Emmett grabbed her arm, twisting, pushing her toward the water. But Maggie bit him. Not hard. Not enough to do damage. Just enough to distract. Camila broke free, grabbed her radio, and screamed for backup. When the Rangers arrived, Emmett was face down in the mud, birds flying overhead, and one drenched goose standing guard. The story made national news. Goose helps foil poaching ring, the headline screamed. Maggie became a symbol. The local sanctuary built her a custom pen, open to the marsh, where she could come and go as she pleased. Camila visited her every day. But Maggie didn't stay long. One morning, the sanctuary staff found her pen empty. Her favorite rock, the one she used as a perch, was gone too. No feathers. No tracks. Just silence. But some nights, when the fog rolls in and the moon hangs low, rangers say they hear a lone goose honking in the distance, steady, rhythmic, like a signal. And birds don't go missing anymore.